then, you wouldn't have the sandy approach. It would have all been covered with logs. We've lost track of that now because any valuable log that comes down the river now, there's somebody who's going to pound a log dog in it and bring it to shore for either to mill it up or to cut it for firewood or whatever. And you know, we've cut a lot of the side. But when they first cleared the Willamette, you know, where it goes through Portland for shipping, they took out 300 logs per mile, 3 feet in diameter or greater. You know, every tributary was crammed with logs. So many that when they went out to sea, they were circling around the Pacific Gyre at such a rate that was what the Hawaiians relied on for their biggest war canoes.
Oh, for heaven's
You know, they make them out of Douglas fir.
Yeah,
And
good idea.
if you drop a piece of wood in the middle of the Pacific, it'll be invaded by organisms within a minute because so many things feed on wood. You know, it fueled a whole ecology out at sea. And you know, all the trees are leaning out. The trees are up to 10 feet in diameter, so the logs were, and they would have crammed this whole thing and floated every high tide. So here's November 9th, the next morning. The tide of last night did not rise sufficiently high to come into our camp, but the canoes, which were exposed to the mercy of the waves, etc., which accompanied the returning tide, they all filled. And with great attention we saved them until the tide left them dry. Wind hard from the south and rained hard all the forepart of the day. At 2 p.m., the flood tide came in, accompanied with immense waves and heavy winds, floated the trees and drift which were on the point on which we camped, and tossed them about in such a manner as to endanger the canoes very much. Every exertion and the strictest attention by every individual of the party was scarcely sufficient to save our canoes from being crushed by those monstrous trees, many of them nearly 200 feet long and from 4 to 7 feet through. Our camp entirely under water during the height of the tide, every man as wet as water could make them all the last night, and today all day, as the rain continued all day. At 4 o'clock p.m. the wind shifted about to the southwest and blew with great violence immediately from the ocean for about 2 hours. Notwithstanding the disagreeable situation of our party, all wet and cold, they are cheerful and anxious to see further into the ocean. The water of the river being too salt to use, we are obliged to make use of rainwater. Some of the party, not accustomed to salt water, have made too free a use of it, and on them it acts as a purgative.
Oh, I'll bet.
At this dismal point, we must spend another night, as the wind and waves are too high to proceed. And I guess November 10th is when they finally had a little break, and we're able to make it to where the bridge comes in, at what's now called Dismal Niche. So we'll pick that up when we go to Dismal Niche.